La Resortera.
Hello, hello. Here we are, another episode of Pura Vida Perspectives podcast. We're back for another week. How's everyone been?
Great. How was your birthday?
My birthday was amazing. Thank you so much for
Nice.
asking. Another year, so more goals in the works.
There you go.
So always enjoy sushi for my birthday.
Love it. Love it. There's a lot of good sushi places here in Costa Rica.
There really are. I really like that Nation sushi.
Mhm.
The rolls are so big and delicious.
Mhm.
I love them.
Yep.
Awesome.
Sarah, how you been?
I've been good. Everything's been fine. Living life.
Love your hair getting
Live,
more
laugh, laugh.
darker.
Yeah, hair's
Every
getting
day.
darker. It's just going to keep it healthier, shorter,
Yeah.
darker.
And your tan goes along with your hair. So
I was getting tan.
looking beautiful. You're always beautiful and gorgeous anyway.
Gorgeous.
Well, thank you. Yeah, working on the tan.
There you go.
Talking about health and wellness.
Yes.
So some of you, if you missed any of the previous episodes, we had Crystal present on our previous episodes. The first one, we talked about kind of her backstory and her, 20 years in Costa Rica, what she's been up to since moving, kind of how she got here. Second episode, we got a little sidetracked in a good way, though. I really loved our conversation. We talked a lot about health and nutrition and like creating habits prior to coming. We talked about how Haida was making some life changes. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. How's your week
Looking
been?
good.
How's the week been?
It's been good. I'm still working on losing
It's
a lot of
process.
this.
I can tell.
It's a process. So today I want to dig a little bit more. Crystal's kind enough to offer to come back to tap into this other subject that I thought was very important, which is maybe just like handling depression and anxiety that can come with big changes. So, whether you're making a move, whether, big life changes are happening, I just think she has a lot of really good tips for that. And so I'm going to let her lead the way and just give us these great nuggets of information.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sarah. Well, we talked a little bit on the last episode about routine and really the foundation of really managing and navigating depression, anxiety, and prevention is having healthy habits, and a healthy lifestyle. So that's one thing I would, continue to really emphasize. Something else that's important that we kind of chatted about a bit before is just, really finding what you're passionate about, finding hobbies, interest, learning a new language. I'm actually thinking of, I'm going to take bachata. I've been wanting to
What's
learn
that?
that. Yeah. What do you mean?
Bachata?
Bachata.
Bachata.
Let me say it again.
Es que-
Bachata.
There you go. Now I
I
understand.
got it better there.
I understand. One,
Okay,
two,
yeah,
one, two.
Well, and because there's also
Love it.
there's a lot of science behind dancing.
Okay.
And
I
not-
love dancing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
That's something that I've been wanting to do.
Do
Yeah,
it.
do it.
Yeah.
Do it then whenever
I'm
you...
going to do it this week.
Yeah,
do it. I
do
think
it.
I might do it tonight. I'm gonna look for. I was
Bachata
just
is
texting
nice.
a dance instructor. Yeah, I'm. Doing something outside of our comfort zone is really important because it's those little challenges that help us. Again, self-esteem and confidence. Getting out of our comfort zone is so important, and I think doing that, a language, trying different foods. That can also help prevent depression and anxiety just because, again, it's about caring for ourselves, that self-care. And so, and I think too, dance is so important because, even doing like in the morning, I'll put on some music and do a little jam session and dance around. And you just feel, even if you don't know how to dance, it just feels good to move and do something like that. So, that's something else as we talk about major changes, really seeing it, again, it's about choice. Instead of seeing it as this dark, scary transition, which that's common to feel that way, right? When, you have a breakup or a divorce, as I have shared, I've been divorced 5 years now. And, it is scary, but then seeing it as, having somebody to talk to, a therapist, a coach, family, friends. But I do recommend a therapist only because family and friends are great, but they're not objective. And they're not going to have a non-biased. Yeah. I told Sarah, I'm
Don't.
like, Sarah, stop.
ChatGPT, don't.
I need clients. Do not know.
No. You have to talk to an actual human. But in the meantime, so you don't drive your therapist
There you
crazy
go.
trying to have the same conversation over and over again, you can talk to ChatGPT. Actually, mine's called Sage now. I said, I feel really weird
Aw.
referring to you as ChatGPT when I talk to you, when I talk to my friends about you. So I said, what would you like for me to call you? And it said, you can call me Sage because I provide like wisdom and I provide like non-judgmental feedback. And I'm like, thank you.
Aw,
So,
sweet friend. Okay.
ChatGPT plug.
It's use it as a friend, not as a therapist.
There, thank you. We got therapist on there. Yeah.
Use
no.
it as a
You
friend.
definitely need a human.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I think, we all have our own experiences, and my experience is different than yours, and just having empathy. So going back to when you ask about some things that I recommend is having a community. And even let's say you move to a new country or a new city, having taking a dance class, taking a language class, joining a book club. That's what I tell my clients all the time. Get out. A lot of my clients suffer from social anxiety.
Mhm.
And so they do a lot of overthinking. They're like,
Mhm.
what if?
Right.
What if?
And nothing is happening.
What if this happens? And I always challenge that because, again, it goes back to reframing our thinking, and, learning to recognize it, because those thoughts are like, it's like a fan in the background. You don't hear it until like a coach or a therapist says, do you hear what you're saying? Kind of what we said in the last couple of episodes with like saying I'm lazy or using different words. It's so important. And having somebody kind of coach you through that process to reframe your thinking can lift so many barriers, because 95% of our thinking and behaving is subconscious. 95%.
Wow.
We're not even aware of. Only 5% is conscious. So I used to teach psychology 101.
And you're a cognitive behavioral therapist.
Yes.
That's the type of therapy that you do.
CBT. Mhm.
Yeah.
So really, basically, in a nutshell, our thoughts affect our feelings, which affect our behaviors. So our thoughts are so powerful, and knowing that we can indeed have control of those and make different choices. Like, for example, when you wake up in the morning, and this is another tip for anybody, you may say, oh God, this is going to be a bad day. I don't want to go to work. Why?
You haven't been up.
I don't want to get up. The thing is, your brain's going to look for evidence to support that. It's our reticular activating system, our RAS, in our brain. So it's going to look for evidence. Then you lose your keys. Then you spill a cup of coffee on your white T-shirt. Then one thing after another happens. Have you ever experienced that?
I was gonna say a couple things happened to me back to back on Friday the 13th.
Okay.
So I kind of jinxed myself on not doing anything on Friday the 13th
Okay.
because every time Friday the 13th hit, something happened to me. And I was like,
Yep.
you forget about this. I'm not even gonna think about what day it is or and I stopped doing that. And I even forget. I mean, that is Friday the 13th, but like 3 or 4 Friday the 13th, something happened to me, but I believe
It's your brain looking for evidence.
exactly.
It's looking for evidence. And I always say, it's not about positive psychology. I always say accurate thinking with a positive twist. So taking those inaccuracies in your thoughts, even if you wake up in a bad mood, you still have things, leaning in with gratitude. What are you grateful for? You have a home, you have food, you have a family. Leaning in with gratitude can help us reframe so that our brain starts to look for positive evidence. That's why I've helped so many clients, just really level up with their businesses. I've had clients get out of fear-based or scarcity mindset into abundance. And that's one thing too that I would recommend, going back to Sarah's original question about, coping and things, is changing your mindset to an abundance type of a mindset. Even if you have $10 in the bank, you still living a life of abundance. The energy, we're energy, and the kind of energy that we put out there, we often will receive it. And that's just a simple thing that you can do in the morning. Really be intentional when you wake up. And I have all my clients journal, they tried to journal. I'm saying the word try, right? Because, but if anything, they use affirmations. That's another thing I was going to say. I'm a huge advocate of affirmations, saying I live a life of abundance. Every morning I journal. I'm writing down my intention for the day, 1 to 3 things I'm grateful for, 1 to 3 affirmations. And the 4th thing I write is 1 to 3 things I see in my future. So I'm just giving this little tip, a journaling tip. And what happens is, and writing it like you already have it, like I am debt free, and feeling it in your blood, not just writing it, but actually telling yourself, feeling that. Because what happens is, again, remember our subconscious is 95% of our behaviors. So what happens is your actions and your choices throughout the day will align with that goal. So for example, I'll give you a personal example. As of February 2024, I'm completely debt free. I have no student loans, no credit card bills, no car loans. Now, did writing it every day get me debt free? No. But writing it every day sent a message to my brain saying we're debt free. So I wouldn't buy that bag or that overpriced coffee or whatever. But it wasn't me saying that I was going to pay off my debt. It was my subconscious helping me. Like, no, 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 no. And every time I had a speaking engagement or a hunk of money, I would just put it toward that. And it's real. It's neuroscience.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
You did mention you're also a life coach, right?
Uh-huh.
And I've been seeing these life coaches that says that debt will also make you get up and work. Not massive debt like you're like up to here, but like if you have some type of debt, like it will motivate you to get up and work to pay whatever
your bills off and things. Well, I mean, it really depends. Now, if it depends on your situation, sometimes people need different things to inspire them or motivate them to move. But
and these people is not like they're not liquid because they can be. They just say, I want to have some type of debt, even though I can pay for it.
Okay, well, that's different. That's investments
that they're like
and finance.
needing to be extrinsically motivated. I'm very intrinsically motivated, so
yeah,
I will be motivated just the same without debt. But interesting.
Well, no, but if you go back, and I don't have a lot of knowledge in finance, but I know what you're saying. Like a lot of my clients will take debt out to pay different, to get buildings and taking those risks. Maybe that's what you mean. But just like everybody day to day that feel like they cannot breathe because they just feel so overwhelmed with their financial situation. And a
That's
lot
different,
of everybody, is out there. And, it's really your mindset, and really saying, and yeah, I get it. People are probably saying, well, yeah, how am I going to have a positive mindset when I have negative in the bank? And I don't know. But really, you are the creator. Opportunities will come to you. It did for me. I shared I quit my job a couple years ago at an international school and started my own business. Opportunities started coming to me because of my mindset. I had the mindset of I'm going to be successful. It's a non-negotiable. I am going to do this. And talking about it like it's already happened. And I even have teacher friends that always joke about, you were talking about this and I really believed you. I wasn't debt free. I didn't have what I was just, but my body believed it in my brain. Because it's listening.
It's funny. Not long ago, I almost never look at the Facebook posts from
the past.
Yeah, from the past. Facebook had this thing called recuerdos. I don't know.
Oh yeah, like memories.
Like memories. And I don't know why on that specific day I looked at one that said it was about 7-8 years ago, and said someday you're gonna be so powerful and so into your own stuff. People's not even gonna believe where you're gonna be at. I posted that, and today, like 7-8 years later, it is
true.
Exactly what I posted. Back in the day.
I remember looking at one of my memories from forever ago, and it said something like, "Once Sarah, like when it used to be like Sarah, like." And I put like "once to live by the beach" or something, probably from like whenever Facebook first came out. And I was like, "Oh wait," like little
exactly.
And
well, and that you guys are having examples of really this stuff works because it's neuroscience.
Yeah.
It really is. It's our brains, and you hear about this, and you call it manifestation, visualization, woohoo, call it what it's neuroscience.
That's why you told me about my daughter to get the
yes,
board.
your daughter looking ahead to wanting to study in the U.S. Really just saying that, and I love what you said about your daughter. I am doing this.
Oh, yeah,
she's this is like I'm doing it, and what? Good for her because she already has. That's half of it right there. More than that half is just your mindset of knowing I am going to be a success. I am. And it really, this stuff really does work. I've seen it in my practice with clients. I mean, it's amazing when people step out of scarcity and into abundance. What kinds of shifts and changes happen in your life? It's incredible.
I think it just opens up your mind to like other potential things. So like long story short, when I built 2 houses, one of them was cash with an investor. We already sold that. My construction loan fell through at the last moment. It became a whole mess. I had to take out all these different lines of credit from the States. I was kind of in that moment, like waking up with anxiety, not being able to breathe. I had these huge payments hanging over my head every month. So stressful. Maybe you remember that.
I do.
So, oh my God. I don't tell a lot of people that happened. It was a mess. And I woke up with the most extreme anxiety. I felt awful. So then I'm driving one day and I'm just like, okay, I need to clear my mind, clear the mind. And then all of a sudden this idea came to my brain was like, Sarah, the house is built. Why don't you take a HELOC out on it and pay all that high interest stuff off? And I was like, oh my God, duh. So that's what I did. It's all paid off. Now I have a very low payment, and now I'm going to be throwing extra at that per month. So I don't have any other debts that exist, just that. But it's not, but I had to get out of that stress. And I know it's hard whenever you feel like you can barely breathe or just even think. But if I think because I was driving and I think I gave tried to really calm my mind down, and that allowed the solution to come to me, whereas, and that's happened in other things in my life too. So maybe just for someone who might be going through it, we were like, what do you mean? I can't just write down that I'm debt free or just be positive and then feel positive. Just try your best to calm your mind down. Maybe some solutions will, maybe you already have it. You just can't even receive it because you're so overwhelmed.
No, that's an excellent point, actually. And that's what I would encourage people to stay in the present moment. That's one of my favorite mantras, be present now. Because exactly what you just said. A lot of times we have those solutions, but we're so in the anxiety where it's almost like an out-of-body experience. I don't know if anybody's experienced where they're so anxious, they don't even feel like they're in their body, right? I mean, we all overthinking, racing thoughts, and just being in the present moment. And what can you do? Activate your senses. I tell clients, clap. If you're alone, get an ice cube and put it on the back of your neck where your vagus nerve is, and it can help with something cold on the back of your neck. Washing your hands in cold water, putting cold water on your face just to bring yourself back. Like when I worked for the school for many years, a child would come in crying or whatever, you get a cold, you get a cold drink of water, you tell them to wash their hands and their face. That's activating your senses, and that's bringing you really back into your body.
Okay.
Wow, I love that. That's really good. Those are good tips.
Yeah,
so for someone maybe facing extreme anxiety.
And I am sure a lot of people that is watching us right now might be going through this stuff or have been going through this stuff before, or you might are gonna face it, and hopefully these tips are some type of help. Like we always say here, well, in our case, we are no experts. You are an expert. If you're watching, look out for an expert. I mean, treat yourself. Look for someone that could help you get better, feel better.
Kind of just guide you along the process. Somebody, and again, family and friends, that's great, but it's not an objective, non-biased person. I'm not your friend, I'm not your family. I want what's best for you.
I have a question.
Sure.
What if I have trouble accepting that I need help? What if I believe that everything is good and I don't need any help? I'm good. But like you said, and you mentioned before, everybody, even the therapist, needs a therapist.
Yes.
So how do you change your mind on doing so, on accepting that either you need help or that is good to have help even though you don't need it?
Well, I think, again, that's a really good question, actually, because a lot of people, they see maybe it's a waste of time or money, to go to see therapy. No, I don't know. I just need a better job. I just need to make more money. I don't need a therapist. And just, again, reframing that and seeing that, what will be the benefit in me getting this? It's kind of like when you want anything better in life, a better job, a better home, you look at what can I do to make this happen? And then, when things aren't, when you're in denial, clearly it's hard to get somebody to go, going back to that. But then, maybe, your partner or friends or family can say, have you thought about talking to someone? And then again, I would invite flexibility and just being open, to seeing that and trying it once. I mean, there's nothing wrong. You don't have to be, obligated to continue. I always invite my clients, when I meet with my clients, I'm always like, hey, if you don't feel like we have a rapport or connection, that's cool. I want you to find your person,
Right.
Because that's what's important, to have that energy and to find that person that you can really open up to. That's different than your partner. That's because we don't always want to put everything on our partners or family,
Yeah.
Because it's nice for them to be supportive, but then again, we need that outlet, I think.
1000%. We do.
You
Yeah.
know, totally.
And I forgot to mention this other episodes, but we will have, Crystal's information down below for
Yeah.
anyone who might
Yeah,
want to get
sure.
in contact
Sure.
with you for sure. Because you're just so easy to talk to,
Aw,
and you are
Yeah.
filled with so many tips
Thank
and very
you.
practical. And I don't feel like we've had conversations, and I don't feel
Mhm.
like judged. That's like no one ever wants to feel judged. I have a therapist, and I sometimes struggle telling her everything too, because I'm like, I don't want someone to judge me. I asked ChatGPT once, I was like, do you judge me? Like literally like no one likes to feel
Yeah,
judged. And I can
no.
say that you definitely do create like that safe
Thank you.
space, and
Yeah.
that's really special for
Thank
people,
you.
especially people like me. I have a very hard time opening up.
I don't know. Well, you've been here in Costa Rica for 20 years.
Yes.
I visited this group in Costa Rica called Instituto WEM. You ever heard of it?
No, I don't think I have.
Instituto WEM, it's a place for guys only in Costa Rica
Mhm.
where they help you with psychologists.
Okay.
It's, I wouldn't say low budget, but it's a non-profit
like an
organization.
affordable place.
Well, it's not even affordable because what you pay for sessions is like 2,000 colones, like,
Okay.
like
Oh.
$5
Oh, yeah.
or some other places.
Mhm.
It's whatever you can,
Whatever you can pay.
Exactly. And I visit this place for about 7 to 8 years, and they have rules.
Mhm.
And one of the main rules is what you mentioned. We don't judge, and we don't criticize, and we don't
Mhm.
point fingers.
Mhm.
It's one of the main rules of these places. Plus, they don't talk about religions or sports or whatever because it's a group thing. It's not like individual.
Mhm.
It's a group thing.
Mm.
And it's actually, like I said, I went to the place for 7 years. And I can tell you I'm a 1,000% different man that walk in that
Nice.
place one day than the guy that I am as of today. And like Sarah said, it's very hard to open up yourself.
Mhm.
But once you find that you're not the only person that has this issue that you're going through, it makes it more easier. Because the way the group operates is like there's, I don't know, about 20 guys and the psychologist. And then the psychologist says, who wants to share whatever your troubles?
Mhm.
And then I raise my hand, I talk about my troubles, blah, 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 blah. And then the psychologist says, who is going through the same stuff that he is going or has gone through that? And then you see 5, 7 hands being raised at the same time. And then the psychologist says, see?
It normalizes it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not alone. I
Mhm,
mean,
you're not alone.
other people have gone through. Then that's when the session starts, and then he gives bullets or like what you were doing,
Mhm,
tips.
mhm.
And going back to what Sarah said, they're not judging. They're people that went through the same stuff, and the psychologist just listen to you and telling, recommending things for yourself to do, not telling you how to fix or how to handle your problem. He's just giving you tips on recommendations on the situation. Very, very good group.
Actually, that's important because I like to empower my clients because I don't tell them what to do. But asking very thoughtful, reflective questions is a key. So a good therapist really does do that. And then sometimes people say, how can you find that? Because I'm not going to give you, because that's not empowering you. And I want you to be empowered and you to build your confidence and self-esteem. And through those questions, you're like, oh my gosh, maybe I should leave that relationship, or this job doesn't appreciate me, and that's where the growth happens. And it's like so cool to see that and kind of like with your experience and then normalizing it. And then I think overall, just normalizing therapy in general, that, it's courageous. Like you said, I have clients that come on and they're like, oh, I'm so nervous. I don't know what to say. And, I always admire their courage, because for you to even just reach out to talk to a stranger, you don't know me. And thank you, Sarah, for your kind words, because I think it is important how the therapist presents themselves. I want to be approachable. I want you to know I've heard so many things. Like I said, I've been doing this a hot minute, over 25 years, and I've heard a lot of different things. And, I think it's really, really important just to have really good boundaries and being able to give that person a safe space where they don't feel judged, that they can say, listen, this happened to me and I don't have anybody to talk to about this.
Right.
Yeah. So someone who's, let's say, going through a big life change, whatever that might be, what would be like the top things that you would recommend for them to do? Maybe the last one would be finding help if you need help.
Yeah, finding help, that would be a good one. going through the transition again, going back to our habits and the lifestyle, something that, thinking about a vision or something like a passion project or something that you really want to do. Like, let's say you decide to move to Costa Rica, and what are some things that you want to learn about? We have so much, you were talking about it earlier about nature, so many things. There's so many places here in Costa Rica I don't even know. And I've been here 20 years, I'm doing that, exploring what you might want to learn. Cause I believe, we should all be lifelong learners. So that could be something that helps with depression and anxiety too, having something to look forward to. Like me doing bachata, it's like,
That's gonna be fun.
it's going to be fun. And it's like that just looking for different things that are new, and that's what helps us just really embrace, life and doing things out of our comfort zone. And that can help with the transition too of moving to a new place. Like, oh, what do they have there? And kind of doing some research.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's really helpful. And hopefully everyone's been finding this information helpful. You can relate.
Yeah. And again, if you're going through some stuff, seek help. Is the best advice that we can provide. Sarah and I are no experts. She is an expert, and she can even tell you. And she has find help. I mean, don't swallow it all up.
You don't have to do it alone.
Don't keep it to yourself.
Exactly.
Don't do it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, exactly. And build your community. So when you are going through things, you have that as well.
Yeah, just an outlet, something fun.
Now that Sarah mentioned that, just real quick before we let you go, how was, from your perspective, building up community here in Costa Rica, making friends? How difficult or how easy was that for you?
Okay, well, from my perspective, I'm a little bit different because, like I said, I did move here with my ex-husband. So I had his family. But it really, when I would go out with my daughter, because she was like just barely not even 2, I would go out. It was really, the people here, I find, from my perspective, are so loving and so welcoming. And just little things that I wasn't used to living in the States that I really embrace. So I really think just people are just, it wasn't too difficult really, to find, and you always find somebody that you can align with. When I first moved here, I tried some spinning classes and I met people there, and so I really think that my transition was smooth. Now, was it always easy? No, I did get homesick. We'd make the peanut butter joke, and there were those little things that I missed. But overall, I think having routine, having my community, I had, my ex-husband's family is just lovely. I love them all, and they were such a good support, and that was my community. I really did a lot of things with them, and they really helped me. And I would recommend that, because not everybody's going to come here with an already established family like I did. But there are all kinds of groups. I know Sarah has all kinds of resources, wonderful resources on meeting different people and what your niche is. Like if they like surfing, I'm sure Sarah has a list of, resources. So I think that's important to reach out even beforehand, to kind of see, hey, I'm coming to Costa Rica, to move and
do some homework.
Yeah. And I would like to kind of connect with those groups.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it goes back to what we were talking, making a community, making things that will make you feel good. You mentioned yoga, so it all goes back to finding something that will keep your mind busy or not so stressful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. Well, thanks again for coming, and I appreciate you sharing, and I'm sure a lot of people got a lot out of this, and always enjoy hearing your wisdom. And if anyone wants to get in touch with Crystal, you'll find her information down below this episode and the other ones too. Yes. And Heido, anything else?
No, thank you. It was fun these past 3 weeks having you over. Thank you for taking the time to come and give us a little bit of your knowledge, which was a lot.
Well, thank you guys both for having me and inviting me. And I do have a true passion for what I do. So I would love to help whoever needs it. So
appreciate it.
For sure. Thanks again.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you guys in the next episode.
Esto fue una producción de La Resortera.